SC Krasnodar on a 1-0 win over Rennes.
1-0, you fucking moron.
1-0.
Idiot. Yeah, FC Krasnodar win. Congratulations. Nobody cares. That game was fucking... Do you know what, right? I had a choice of 2 games to watch in the early kickoffs. I had FC Krasnodar versus Runs and the Runs. And I had RB Leipzig and Istanbul Başakşehir. And I looked at them and I started by watching Istanbul. And for the first 5 minutes, I thought, this is all right. It's a bit boring. And I thought I don't enjoy, because for some reason BT don't have the crowd noise, which really annoys me. So it just sounds like they're down a local park. And I thought, I want a bit of noise, I want a bit of atmosphere. I'll watch FC Krasnodar, okay? I shall give the opportunity to the 2 teams that nobody gives a fuck about. I must have been one of about 10 people who watched this game. I watched it in full. And it was fucking boring. It was all right. It wasn't terrible, but it was a bit... it was 2 very bad teams desperately trying to find the back of the net. Actually, to be fair, Krasnodar were good value for the money when it came to this result, and they deserved the result. And I'm pleased for their fans because, they're one of the only teams right now in Europe that has a decent amount of fans in that can make a lot of noise. So that's quite nice to watch. And that's why Russian football has actually had a massive spike in ratings, because people are enjoying watching Russian football because there are fans in a lot of their stadiums. I wish I'd watched the other game. That was a mistake. A big mistake.
Yeah.
They won. Good result. A couple of half decent players, but nothing really stands out to me, Normally when you watch these teams, you think, oh, that guy's quite good. He can end up in the Premier League or something. None of them, for me, are good enough to really play in an elite level. Especially the Runs, who are just... The drizzling shits of France. I cannot believe this team got it. That shows, if that doesn't tell you how shit Ligue 1 is, the Runs got in. Fuck off. They shall now be known as FC Diarrhea from now on. Bollocks to them. I hope they never turn up in the Champions League again. Fuck off. French football.
I don't think they will. I think Mendy was the reason that they showed up. And now he's leading Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, anyone can lead. He's not leading them, is he? He's not exactly the fucking chief in command, is he? He's not. I can't imagine Mendy lining up. I mean, we're about to talk. Fuck it. Who cares about this game? Let's talk about the big result, which was Sevilla getting shafted. We were this close to a result. This close.
What do you mean? This close.
Just this close, mate. This close. We were robbed, mate. First half, we're all over you. Sevilla were so shit in this game. They were terrible. They didn't even try, and it's really sad. Rakitic looked a yard off the pace. You got to give Chelsea a lot of credit. They were a far superior team. I'll tell you one thing though. How they don't want to give Giroud a contract makes me laugh. Because I'm
pretty sure they're giving him a contract after this game.
I'm pretty sure he'll hold out and he'll go somewhere else. I believe that. So, and you keep flipping and flopping around like some fucking salmon out of water. It's so funny. Last week, Giroud's staying with us. Giroud's fantastic. Giroud will never leave Chelsea. Then I get a fucking voice note after this go, yo, fucking, hey man, Giroud just used you as an audition tape, man. He's going to go somewhere else, man. Oh, which is it then, you cunts? Pick one of them. Either way, enjoy your glory. You spanked us, and rightfully so. Or Giroud spanked us, is what, basically.
Yeah, Giroud.
He could have scored 5, but one of the penalty decisions was actually reversed, which was actually quite nice of them to do so, because at that point we were just out of it. The thing is, right, Chelsea got in front early, and Sevilla have proven this season there are very few goals floating around in this team, and that is really disappointing. They need to invest some serious money in strikers to be this is just not the team that won the Europa League last year. There isn't that fire, there isn't that spirit. They look like they're kind of on one of their down years. They are guilty of this, actually. When they win the Europa League, obviously, they won it many, many moons. They won it like 3 times in a row.
Right.
But they are guilty of having lapsed seasons from time to time. And this feels like one of those where they've kind of, they're really struggling to get near the top 4 in La Liga at the moment. I know it's very condensed. I mean, they're next to Real Madrid and they're thinking, what the fuck are you doing down here? And Barca as well. I was like, excuse me? What the fuck do you two want? Get out of our shop. This is our mid-table, you cretins. Go away. you elitists.
Elitists.
Yeah, it was a really, really poor game. But if you're a Chelsea fan, what a fantastic result. You go to the Europa League champions, you win 4-0 comfortably. It was never in doubt. There was about a 20-minute period at the end of the first half where Sevilla were starting to, assert themselves. Yeah. And then it literally, second half, boom, Giroud scores again. Completely smacks us in the mouth. And that's it. And Sevilla had nothing left. They have a really hard time coming from behind, phrasing boom. And that was evident right here. But, I don't like Chelsea at all. Everyone knows that. I hate Chelsea. But I've conceded now 2 or 3 times. They are by far and away one of the best sides in England right now. I think they're title contenders. And, I don't think Timo Werner was rested, wasn't he, for this game?
Yes.
Which is why Giroud played. But that speaks volumes about Chelsea's quality. That you can rest Werner and still...
They rested Pulisic. They rested... Ziyech, they rested. There was 9 different people that got to play.
Admittedly, Sevilla rested quite a few players as well. But the guys who were out there, for me, should have done better.
Yeah.
They should have done better. And I get that both teams are through, so it doesn't really matter. And, rather weirdly, I think there's less interest now in whether you finish first or second. It's just a case of getting through. And maybe that's because of COVID and there's not going to be that many fans. Although Arsenal actually tonight do have 4,000 fans in the Emirates. They're the first team to have football fans back in England. And now you're allowed, depending on the tier system, which if I could spend a whole podcast explaining that because of the old wavy head wank pheasant that is our Prime Minister. But basically, so for instance, for example, Lincoln don't have any fans in because they're tier 3. If you're tier 3, you're not allowed any fans in. If you're tier 2, it's 2,000. If you're tier 1, and obviously it's 1, 2, 3, so the higher it is, the more dangerous and more susceptible you are to COVID transmission and things like that. I live in a tier 2 area, for instance, so only 2,000 fans. I mean, our local football team gets about 58 fans in, so I don't really care. Although we'll be going to watch them and covering it for the podcast, which should be a good laugh.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to chatting about that because they are such a really tiny little team, but, it'd be nice to support some grassroots. And ultimately, it's one of the few football games I can actually get to and the difficulties that is the pandemic. Chelsea outright. I expect Chelsea to do well. However, I do think this might serve as a distraction because they have a legitimate chance to win the league this season. So it'd be interesting to see how well are they going to balance that.
And I think that's why they're going to hang on to Giroud and Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Well, they need to.
And a bunch of other guys because of the way they're doing. They want to win the league.
That is to throw a lot of money at them, though. If you're Giroud, you're sitting there going, look what I just did. I just scored 4 goals against the premium European team. Give me my goddamn money. And if Frank Lampard turns around and says, well, you can have a bit of money, but we think Timo Werner will be like, no, mate, you either start me or I leave. Because they haven't got a choice here. His contract's up. It's not like they can just say, well, tough shit, you've got a contract, so you're just going to sit for 2 years. They haven't got that opportunity. Hudson-Odoi, I'm not hot on him. I think he's average. I think out of all your attacking threats, he's the least capable. And I've seen Hudson-Odoi play. I know people are like, oh, because he's English, everyone shits their pants. But I'm not convinced. I think you have to keep Giroud. I really do. I think you need Giroud for depth because, God forbid, if Timo Werner or Ziyech goes down, and you've still got big games to play. Big games to play. Yes. And there's a lot of seasons still left. Every team, regardless of how good they are, has a slight dip somewhere unless they are completely pissing it like Liverpool did last season. Even they lost a game. No one's invincible. So, there's going to be a couple of games where you think, oh, blimey, we're a little bit rough. We might need someone to bail us out. You might need Giroud to bail you out of a last-minute winner or whatever it might be. So it depends on whether you can hold on to those guys or not.
Yeah,
you need depth. Otherwise, the Champions League might end up actually being a bit of a distraction, and it might end up biting you in the arse.
I'm worried. I am legitimately worried that...
Good worry to have, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good worry to have, but...
It's like Lincoln getting dumped out of the FA Cup, right? I wanted Lincoln to do well in the FA Cup, obviously, as a Lincoln fan. But at the same time, we can now focus on the league, which we're second in, by the way. So, I'm sitting here thinking, we could end up winning the league while other teams are distracted by a cup run.
Mm.
And that's the same with Chelsea. It depends. It really depends who you draw as well. If you get a good draw, an easier draw, so to speak, but you might end up at this rate, you might run into Inter Milan or Real Madrid or someone like that, and you think,
Oh
Jesus
God,
Christ, and
please
then all of a
no.
sudden it becomes a bit tougher. It's a headache. This is where we'll see whether Frankie Lampard is as great a coach as you think he is, because he'll be able to manage this situation. It's his job to manage it. That's what a manager does, manage the situation. And if he can get this right, then he absolutely deserves his place as one of England's better managers. But, you got to do more than get them into the Champions League once to be considered one of the best.
Correct. I'm worried. I am 100% worried because I don't trust that. I don't trust that Chelsea can pay attention to both Champions League and Premier League.
I don't think you have the depth in your squad to do that.
I'm really worried about being able to pull out a absolute. I want Chelsea to win the league. That is the ultimate goal. Chelsea need to win the league. If they don't win the league, then that's a shame because they deserve to win the league this year. They are playing like they deserve to win the league. They need to win the league. And overall, Champions League is good, but I'd rather Chelsea win the league than win Champions League this year.
At the end of the day, Champions League is still a knockout tournament. It's a cup. It's a trophy. So there is an opportunity for an upset. It's not absolute. No, more often than not, the best team does win, but it's not absolute.
Right.
It's a bit, for me, people can say what they like. Is it more important to win the Champions League from a financial perspective and from a, dumb FIFA bragging level? Most probably. But from an actual, achievement level, to win the best part of 38 games and win your domestic title over a number of months is a far more difficult prospect. You might play easier teams, down the line. So, for instance, you're going to play a Burnley or a West Brom for whatever reason. But at the same time, that's the ultimate marathon.
Yeah.
Winning the Champions League is like being the 200-meter fucking gold medalist. It's a great achievement, but you're not going to be able to run 26 miles. And that's how I look at the Premier League. I always see a domestic title, particularly in the Premier League, which is one of the most... it hasn't always been, but it feels very competitive this season. I'm looking at 4 or 5 teams that legitimately could do real damage at the top of the table. And, I just think that that's a bigger achievement for my money. So we'll see how it goes. But
yeah.
Time